Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Well, now I know what the deer feel like the day before gun season. Or duck, yeah. You know, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I really do. And this is a big issue. And it is great, as both candidates have said, to see such a turnout, because it shows that there's definitely concern and interest in what we're doing over here in Grand Lake St. Mary's, the watershed, this whole west central Ohio. Now, I'm also coming in today knowing that there's going to be some of you who will agree with what I'm going to be saying, and there are some that will disagree with what I'm going to say. I don't think we disagree on what our objective is, and that's to clean up the lake and to allow financially profitable, successful agriculture to continue in this area as it has over the years, that we protect the other businesses that are dependent on the lake and this community, and that we have opportunities to go out and provide recreation for our families, our friends, our grandkids. I think we all can agree that those are the objectives. It's how do we get to that point where we may have a little difference. And that's okay, because no one person's going to have all the answers, and no one approach is going to be the silver bullet. And so that's what I'd like to talk a little bit about, and then I understand we're going to open up for questions, comments, and I will stay around and obviously deal with some of those as best I can. When you start getting into the real technical issues, I'm very pleased to have two very capable folks here, Terry Mesher, Francis Springer, who are the technical folks out there working every day on this issue in the watershed. So I may refer to them if we need to get into some of the technical aspects of it. You know, much has been done, but there's much to be done. And I think we can't just not look back and say, you know, what have we accomplished, what have we done, what have we tried, and just blindly go forward. We need to have a plan. And I think there's a plan out there that we need to get implemented, and we need to allow to work. As someone said, you know, this watershed has been a strong agricultural for generations. This problem didn't happen overnight. It's unfortunate we didn't take these steps 20 years ago. We probably wouldn't be here today talking about this issue. That's in the past. So we learn from that, we go forward. You know, Grand Lake St. Mary's has received more attention, dollars, staff time, and focus than any other body of water in Ohio, and probably the nation. When I first came on board, and I've been on with the department, my second tour of duty for just about 11 months, hasn't even been a year yet. In January, I went to a national conference of soil and water districts. And one of the first questions people would ask me when they heard I was from Ohio is, what are you doing with Grand Lake St. Mary's? And this was people from South Dakota, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa. They're all were dealing with the issue of water quality and ag nutrient management. And so this has been a spotlight, good or bad. People are watching what's going on over here. And when I go back to these meetings and I see these folks, they say, you know, we understand you're doing this. We understand you're requiring nutrient management plans. We understand you're requiring inspections. You're going to stop applying manure on the surface during when it's frozen. You know, that's good. We want to see how it works for you, because we need to do some things in our own communities. So, rightfully or wrongfully, good or bad, the spotlight is on us. And so we have an opportunity to not only fix our problem, but help other situations across the country. Yes, there's problems with the lake. In fact, there were problems just a couple weeks ago. Here we are, middle of November. You know, there have been years when we've had a foot of snow, the lake's been half frozen, and yet we're dealing with algae issues. It's going to be 60 degrees today and tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen as a result of that temperature swing. So we know that. We know we're going to have problems. We're going to have to continue to work on those issues. We continue to focus our staff, our dollars, the tax dollars at the local, state, and national level, our expertise, the education on items that we do have some control over. So much of this is weather driven. And I know some of you are going to buy into that, and some of you are going to say, ah, that's crazy. It's weather driven. to a large extent. So what we need to do is get in place practices and programs where we can control what happens in spite of what the weather does. I stopped by the lake on the way over this morning, talked to Brian over at the park. Didn't see the big problems we had a couple weeks ago, but yeah, there's algae in the lake. Probably always will be, probably always has been. But we need to start working on it to control what we can control. We are all concerned about that. You know, just because I'm in Columbus or, you know, we have our congressmen, state U.S. senators are in Washington does not mean we're not concerned about what's going on, not just with the ag community, but with the businesses, with the recreational component of Grand Lake St. Mary's. We are very interested in that, very concerned, and that's why we have put the staff time, we've put the dollars, we've put the expertise behind moving forward over the last 2 years. And as Tim said, I mean, the governor in January, soon after he was sworn in, was over here to deal with the issue. Director Zeringer, local boy, was in a cabinet meeting on Friday, and the governor asked what's going on at Grand Lake St. Mary's. It's on his mind. He's still concerned about it. We're still moving forward. It's great that we have. The reporter asked me just before the meeting started during an interview, how important are organizations like this to solving the problem? They are the key. The LIA, the Restoration Commission, Ag Solutions, the Farm Bureau, other organizations that are out here, you really are the key because you're the eyes and ears, you're the local folks, you're the ones who have to live with it day in and day out. And that's why you're here today. So you need to utilize the resources that you have available to us in Columbus and in Washington at the local level and get them to work. And we think we're heading in that direction. You know, there's been a lot of individuals who have really dedicated a lot of time and I know personal money to this effort. You know, and I hesitate to even start naming names because I'm going to leave someone out, but folks like Milt Miller. I mean, you know, Milt, you're dedicated to this. You've thrown yourself at this issue. You know, Tim Lovett, the LIA, your folks here have come in. Yeah, there were some animosities going on there for a while, but we've got that calmed down and at least we're talking to each other. Whether we're listening or not, I don't know, but at least we're talking, and that's a start. Tom Kanapke, Julie Miller with Travel and Tourism, how important that factor is. You know, Jared Ebbing, trying to find a way to get some businesses in here who can help get some of that manure off the land, out of the watershed. You know, we have some business opportunities. We haven't found the right one yet, but we're working at it. And many others who have dedicated their time and dollars and expertise to solving this problem. A lot has gone on. These are the people who are the glass is half full. And I hate to use that old cliche, but it is so true. You know, we could say, yeah, it's a problem, we're not getting it done fast enough, we're not moving forward. But the other folks are saying, you know, we are making some progress. Yeah, it's not going as fast as we want. The lake isn't as clean as we want. But we are moving forward. And that's the attitude we need to keep in order to move forward and get this issue under control. You know, we brought the new dredge in. We've done the alum treatments. You know, the alum treatments is one that, you know, it's like life insurance or maybe safe driving practices. We don't know what would have happened if we didn't do it. You know, maybe it hasn't done everything we hoped it would. It has helped. And we have some scientific studies from across the country that says, yeah, this is an approach to use. So we're looking at that as we move forward. We've done the rough fish removal. We've done the new technologies. We've incorporated some aeration back in some of the codes and some of the channels to try to help. You just didn't guess that this information and these ideas were good. You know, there were a lot of snake oil salesmen that came by when they heard this problem was out here. But you just didn't jump at it. You approached it from a very logical and appropriate business-minded approach. You brought in Battelle to analyze what practices are legitimate and which ones aren't. You've gotten some out on the lake, in the lake, you've tried them, some have worked and some haven't. So you're making progress and there's going to be some new technologies I think coming down the road. The treatment trains and the wetland development. A very innovative approach, one that has also been proven across the country to work. We need to get some more of those further up in the watershed on some of those drainages, some of those ditches, some of those main tributaries coming in. The Clean Ohio funds that, again, Milt Miller and the group has been able to secure, put those into place. The nutrient management plan, comprehensive nutrient management plan, that is key. That is key. In Ohio, it's voluntary, except in the Grand Lake St. Mary's watershed, where it's been mandatory for 156 farmers to put these in place. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The EQIP dollars for more manure storage, so the fields aren't the storage shed for the manure. That's what was going on out here in a lot of cases. The farmers were using the fields to store their manure instead of good, well-constructed facilities. Millions of dollars have been pumped into this watershed to help that. Get that manure off the land, or at least get it off and be applied in a timely, appropriate manner. The staff time with Terry Mesher and Francis Springer in the Soil and Water District here at the local level, the technicians who are going out. Those are resources that you didn't have, we didn't engage the way we did in the past, the staff time. The bi-weekly conference calls that we're holding, and a number of you are on those. The communication continues. You know, Milt calls those calls, Tim's on those calls, Julie's on those calls. People are there getting periodic updates. The directors of the departments, EPA, Ag, and Natural Resources, are on those calls. So it's just not down at the staff level. You've got this issue at the highest level you can get. And the meetings, coming over and meeting with the folks, having meetings over in Columbus, the water testing that's going on, the complaint investigation. I started January 3rd. One of the first things I did was write a personal handwritten note to, I believe his name, Mr. Heckler, our staff person over here. On Christmas Day, he went out and investigated a manure complaint. Christmas Day, folks. When I hear people talk about government employees and state employees not doing their job, not pulling their weight, I remind him of our young guy, Mr. Heckler. Also, Francis Springer went out last Sunday to deal with a complaint and got it fixed within about a 24-hour period. That's the kind of people we have working on this issue over here. Monitoring. We've installed new monitoring for nutrients on Coldwater Creek. We had it on Chickasaw, the flow and the nutrients. On Coldwater, we just had flow. We now have flow and nutrients, so we can monitor both of those coming out of the main tributaries. We're looking at probably putting another one in down at on Beaver Creek below the dam to monitor the water going out, what's taking place there. That money was provided to us through an amendment by Keith Faber in the budget, $350,000 of additional money for monitoring. That's just, I'm sure there's more that I've missed. Those are the types of activities and efforts that have gone on as a result of a lot of people being concerned about this issue and wanting to get it fixed. Folks over here have been able to build the relationships with ODNR, with EPA, and with Ag, with NRCS, with FSA, and with the local soil and water district. We're talking to each other. We're sharing ideas. We're communicating. We're not always agreeing, but we're talking. And that's key. The legislators, our congressional and senatorial, you've had your U.S. Senators staff out here. You've had congressional representatives out here trying to figure out how can we get this issue done. The funding available through, as I said, Senator Faber, Representative Beakey have been helpful. We have another budget cycle coming up, another 2-year cycle. And you know, we just don't like throwing away money at the state level, but we want to continue to make the case. If we need some more funding over here, we need to make the case to get it and put it in the budget. The governor himself, as I just indicated, asked the director Friday. Building relationships and looking for solutions. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Today's what, December 1st? In 14 days will be a critical date in moving forward with Grand Lake St. Mary's. On December 15th, 156 farm operators are to have a nutrient management plan or a comprehensive nutrient management plan submitted for our approval. To date, we have 138 plans that have been submitted and are being reviewed. Some are being updated and reviewed as some other things change. 18 must still meet that requirement. Many are close to completion. Of those 18, we feel, as Dr. Terry he said, we feel we'll probably pick up another 12 of those. We'll have the plan completed. Several have chosen not to participate. We'll deal with those folks. Once the nutrient management plans or CNMPs are completed, we will have 85% of the watershed under a nutrient management plan. When this process first started, 25% of the watershed was either under a nutrient management plan or a permitted livestock facility. Folks, that's progress. Okay? That's progress. Is it the solution? Not yet. But it's a big step forward. ODNR's authority is provided to us through Ohio Revised Code, Section 1511 of that revised code, as well as the watershed and distress rules. So we have legal authority to start implementing the watershed and distress rules. So let's talk about what's going to happen with those folks who choose not to cooperate or to participate in this program, this opportunity. Once a plan is approved or submitted, it's either approved or disapproved. And if they're in non-compliance, then a chief's order is issued. Now, a chief's order comes from myself. I issue it. It's prescriptive. So if a farmer is defective in a certain aspect of that nutrient management plan, or has just chosen not to do one completely, I'm able in that order to prescribe exactly what that farmer needs to do to bring himself into compliance with the watershed and distress rules. That farmer has a 20-day period of time to request an adjudication hearing with myself. That's part of our process. They also can appeal to the Common Pleas Court in Franklin County if it's disapproved. We don't think many of that's going to happen. We may have a few that want to come in and have a hearing. We don't know yet. It's speculation. But that's the process. All I'm doing is going through the process, and you can look this process up in our administrative rules or in the revised code. So what happens if a failure to comply with the chief's order? So let's say I issue a chief's order that says, you know, farmer, you chose not to have a nutrient management plan, you are in violation of the law, of the rules. What happens next? I will request from the Attorney General that they take legal action in Franklin County against that farmer. That's what the rules say I have to do. That's what our law is currently. So we'll take legal action, and that will be referred to court. Common Pleas Court, and the judge will go through a hearing, just like they violated some other law, and then the judge will order some action. I don't know what that action will be, but that will be up to the judge based on our evidence and our Attorney General to say, here's what we would recommend. If, after the judge makes that order, the farmer chooses not to do it, then he is in contempt of court. And he's subject, every day is a separate violation, and he's subject to whatever penalty the judge issues. I do not have penalty authority like EPA. I can't say that you will be fined $10,000 a day for every day that you are polluting. The law does not give me that authority. All it does is gives me the authority to go to the Attorney General to take that individual to court and let the courts deal with them. We also have the option of referring them to the Ohio Department of Agriculture, where they would be required to become a permitted facility under the Department of Agriculture's Section 903 law. At that point in time, that's a whole new process. You have about 7 or 8, I believe, Terry, in the watershed, maybe a few more permitted facilities. These are the larger livestock operations that have NEDP permits, the permits to discharge, highly regulated, highly overseen. We have the authority to pass those farmers who are out of compliance with the chief's order off to the Department of Agriculture, and that has been done since I've been on board with a farmer in north central Ohio. If required, a chief's order will be issued to any farmer not meeting the watershed and distress rules and referred to the Ohio Attorney General for legal action if they fail to be in compliance with the terms and the rules for watershed and distress. I've been challenged that, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Folks, you're going to see it. And the reason you're going to see it is it's not fair to you. You expect the law to be upheld. That's the law that we have. I've been charged, as has the director, to enforce that law. The farmers in the watershed who have done the right thing, who have done the nutrient management plans, who have abided by the rules, it's not fair to them to let those who choose not to get by with it. It's not fair to the lake users, to Kate and her sailboat, to the duck hunters who are afraid to let their labs jump in the water after ducks. It's not fair to them. My director expects it. Jim Zarier grew up here. This is his backyard. He's not going to let me slack off on this, nor is the governor. So on the 15th, or thereabouts, once we get the plans in and reviewed, have a chance to review, and we know who we're dealing with, chief's orders will be issued, and we will go to the Attorney General to deal with those who choose not to meet those requirements. Now, with that being said, farming will continue in the watershed. We're not going to stop farming in the watershed. Manure will continue to be spread, but things will be different. They will be operating under a nutrient management plan. Our staff will then have the authority to go out and do inspections on farms, to respond to complaints even more so. The monitoring and inspection compliance will not be easy for some folks with the soil and water districts and possibly even our own staff, but it will be done. Complaint follow-up. I don't know how much better you can get than going out on a complaint on Christmas Day or on a nice Sunday afternoon. But we'll continue to do that because, again, it's not fair to the ones who are doing it right. We will issue more chief's orders if and when warranted. Water quality will be monitored more so than it has been in the past. Because now we'll be able to do, we have a benchmark. We'll now be able to see what has resulted from our efforts. Are we making a difference with the programs that are being put in place? Because now we'll have monitoring on Chickasaw as well as cold water and hopefully coming out of the lake, possibly some in-lake monitoring. Evaluation of technology and new programs. We'll continue to look at wetland development, new technologies that can come in and help aerate some of this back coves and back channels where we see a lot of this algae taking place. We're going to be continuing our relationship with Milt and his group over here, with LIA and with Battelle, in evaluating these practices to make sure they are legitimate and we're not throwing money down a rat hole. We're going to work with our economic development folks over here, not only at the local level with Jared, but also at the state level, to try to attract the businesses into this watershed that can utilize this manure, not as a waste, but as a valuable byproduct. We've had come close, we just haven't found the right one yet. But we're going to work on that. We're going to promote our state parks and the recreational opportunities of Grand Lake St. Mary's with travel and tourism over here, at the local level as well as at the state level. We've got to get people in Columbus not thinking that you can't go over and sail or utilize Grand Lake St. Mary's. So we've got to change that image. We need to continue building and strengthening the cooperation with the leadership. You've come a long way. Now is not the time to ready, fire, aim. Okay? You've come a long way. You've gained a lot of respect and a lot of attention working with the folks in Columbus and in Washington. There is more work to do. There is more work to do, but I'm confident that we're heading in the right direction. We have to let these nutrient management plans that cover 85% of this watershed, we have to let them work. We have to give them some time, and we have to continue the multiple-pronged effort of working outside the lake and inside the lake to address this issue. We also have to look at other sources, too. Other sources of nutrients that might be getting into the lake. You know, maybe there are some out there we aren't even aware of. But I'm confident that we can do this. I have the support of my director, the governor, elected officials, and the local folks that we move forward. And the expectations are going to be great. The pressure is going to be on, and we're going to have to perform. But I will guarantee you that for those who are not abiding by the watershed and distress rules, they will be dealt with as severely as we can with the current law that we have. And if we need to change the law, I'm willing to take a look at that as well. So, Mark, this time, that concludes my comments, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.